Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to do a quick little follow-up to a previous video I made about the XFL teams that didn't make the cut in the new UFL league. And this time we're going to do a look at the USFL teams that didn't make the cut. We'll do this video, try to keep it short and just get through these, and just give me in the comments any questions, comments, concerns, things you may have thoughts about this, and the potential you may see in these teams returning as an expansion in the UFL in the future. Alright, but let's get right into it. So first off, and the team that's the easiest to go ahead and say what the future may hold for is the Houston Gamblers. Obviously, the Houston Gamblers went through a rebrand, and the overall Gamblers team is going to be in the UFL. They're going to take the identity of the Houston Roughnecks. So that's the easiest one to get out of the way first, is the Gamblers. I think the brand may be done. I mean, especially with the logo, it's a G for Gamblers, and then you get the shape of Texas in it. I don't think they'll do another Houston team, obviously, and I don't think they would go in Texas again for another Texas team. That'd be 4, and that'd be kind of overkill. 3 is already pushing it. A lot of people are kind of upset. There's 3 teams in Texas, and you have no teams, in the Pacific Northwest or West Coast in general. So, yeah, I don't see them coming back. Maybe you could take that name, the Gamblers, and there's just such a brand recognition by fans. You could maybe take it to Oklahoma. Oklahoma has like a bunch of casinos there. You could probably use that name, Oklahoma City Gamblers, for instance. And in geography wise, it'd still be close enough to most of the teams that you wouldn't have crazy travel expenses. Not sure about any football stadiums that would be there. I would assume you have a couple. You have the Hurricanes. You have Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. So maybe there's some options out there. That's something to look into, but that's just an idea. But that's the first one out of the way. Next up, we'll go to New Orleans Breakers. So I think these next 3 teams, it was a combination of just not as much fans, not as much large amount of fans as the other program, or not programs, but the other franchises. But it's a combination of that, and then also a stadium issue. But with the New Orleans Breakers, I would say I don't think that the fan engagement, there wasn't enough fan support at the games. But is there a potential in the future? Yeah, of course, there always is. But what options would they have? So I think the Superdome is just a little too big. I think that might be even a little too expensive for what the UFL is trying to do. They're trying to cut costs and save as much money as possible to make this whole league viable and possible. So I don't think they'll go the Superdome route. I think what they do is you have 2 other options. You have Ullman Stadium, where the Green Wave play collegiate football. I think that's a pretty solid option. I think it has a capacity of 30,000, so it's still a little bit on the heavier side. You would ideally like to have between 10K to 25K, so it still would have a good amount of seats, visible if there's not a lot of fans there. But I think it might be a viable option. It's right there, in the heart of New Orleans. And so at least it'd be local. It's a possibility. I could see it. I don't know, if it's how expensive it'd be to play games out of there for a UFL franchise, or, if it'd even be possible overall. I know the parking is a bit of an issue there. There isn't much parking options. But, yeah, that's one option. And then the other one for the Breakers would be the Shrine on Airline. It's an old baseball stadium. Originally, it was Zephyr Field, located in Metairie. I'm butchering that, I'm sorry. But it's the current host stadium for the NOLA Gold rugby team. So, it's not the most ideal or perfect location or, exactly stadium, but it is an option. I'm getting flashbacks of the Vipers and their situation. That was horrible, but I mean, it is another option. It is a little bit older. It opened in 1997, and it was the home to the New Orleans minor league baseball team, the Zephyrs and the Baby Cakes, from 97 to 2019. And yeah, it is a 10,000 capacity stadium, so it is on the smaller size, which I think would fill pretty easily for our fans would fill it pretty easily. So maybe it's a more viable option. But yeah, that is the and who knows? They could just come out if the Breakers were to come back. They could just say, hey, we're just going to go straight to the Superdome and play there. Well, I think that's a pretty bold move because you'd have a lot of empty seats because it's such a massive stadium. I think it still would, hey, whatever they think's in the best interest. But I think to start off for New Orleans would be a smaller, and then you could go from there maybe. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh Maulers, I didn't really find any other option besides, I think the fan engagement I think is possible to be great. I think they do have a good solid fan base. I do think they can bring people out, fill the seats. The only problem I saw was stadium location. So I don't think they will obviously go to the Steelers stadium. I think that's just too much, too big, probably too pricey. I just don't see it. I think you want to go on the lower end for spring football. And the only thing I could think of option-wise would be Highmark Stadium, but that's still too small. I think it's a 5,000 capacity. So it's pretty hard to find something that would fit. The other thing I could think of would be to play out of a college football stadium maybe. I don't really know much that would fit what we're looking for. So Pittsburgh is a little bit harder. That's the thing. There's not really a stadium fitting the requirements or what the ideal requirements would be for a UFL franchise. I don't think they would go to PNC Park, obviously. And then, yeah, I think just I can't pronounce the name of the new one. Chrisu at Kreischer Stadium, where the Steelers play. I think it's just too big. You'd have too many empty seats, and that looks bad on TV. So, yeah, really tough there. I don't know if they can find out how to get around that. The Maulers might have a chance to come back. But yeah, I really don't know what else to think for the Maulers. So moving on, if anybody has any better options or knows anything more on what they could do, go ahead and leave me a comment, and we'll go from there. Next up, you have the Philadelphia Stars. So Philadelphia Stars are kind of the same boat as the Maulers were. I can't really think or find a stadium that would just fit right for what is needed, and I don't see them playing where the Eagles play. Obviously, that's just such a big stadium. You don't want to have empty seats. I do think they'll bring out fans. I do think they have a good enough fan engagement to be supported. I just don't really see a location that would work just right. You don't want to go too far out of the inner city and in any of the suburbs like college stadiums that are smaller. But the one thing I did think that might work is Subaru Park, and that's it's located in Chester, Pennsylvania, but it is the soccer specific stadium of the Philadelphia Union, and I think it might be possible to work there, just because the capacity you're looking at around 18,000 for soccer, and I think that's just a perfect number. Under 20K, but above 10K. That's the sweet spot, I think, for a spring football league, and I could see that possibly working. I don't know if it literally could support American football. I would assume they'd be able to make it happen, but yeah, I think that'd be a great location. I think Subaru Park's a really beautiful park, our stadium in general, and I don't know. That's my idea there. I think they could bring them back there. I don't think it'd be too expensive. You would have hopefully a good enough fan engagement that they'd fill the seats good enough to where you wouldn't have a bunch of empty seats on TV. That's what you want to avoid. And yeah, I think they're in a better possible situation than the Pittsburgh MERS are. But once again, if you know anything else, you think they might actually go play, where the Eagles play, then I mean, yeah, more power to them. But yeah, these are just my estimations. What I'm thinking maybe it would be possible. All right, and then lastly, you have the New Jersey Generals. So I made this comment in the previous video. I said I could totally see, New York Guardians, New Jersey Generals, somebody in that region, that area coming back. And I really think that, the, Jets Giants Stadium, MetLife, I believe, I think it's just too big. I think it's just ridiculously too much for spring football. I might even be more, too expensive. I just don't see it. I think that they should stay away from that, and they should go. This is my idea. I think they should go towards Red Bull Arena, and I know it's in New Jersey. I get it, but it's such a much more accessible capacity for spring football. You're looking at 25,000. So I think it'll look much better on TV. I know it can support American football for sure. And let's see. Because on September 2nd, 2023, Red Bull Arena hosted the inaugural Brick City HBCU Kickoff Classic between Grambling State University and Hampton University, with Hampton University defeating Grambling State 35-31. This was the arena's first American football game. So right there, we know for sure it can support it and can be done. So that would be my best option that I would suggest if they were to bring back New Jersey, New York, which I think they should. It's a big area with a ton of people. It's going to a big TV market. Such a big metro that I think it's a no-brainer to go back there. And I could totally see them bringing back the Generals and playing at Red Bull Arena, and it being a viable option. I don't, unless obviously the people who run Red Bull Arena or own it or say no, or it's outrageously too expensive, which I don't see that being a thing. I think it's possible. I mean, you already got the DC Defenders playing out of the DC United Soccer Specific Stadium, so that's where I would say go for these spring football league teams, is go towards soccer specific stadiums, because they take care of them. They look nice. They have a smaller capacity. I think that's the best options. But yeah, that's just my quick take. Let me know in the comment section if you know of anything better, or you have a better idea. I'd love to see y'all's comments and just have a little discourse between everybody and myself. So let me know what you think. If there's anything else that you may know about, or you may think would be better going in the future for the UFL. All right, everybody, appreciate you watching the video. If you could, leave me a like. I appreciate the support very much. And then subscribe if you want to follow along for more content in the future. I'll be making many more UFL videos as the season gets closer and during the season. And then, of course, I do arena and indoor football. So if any of that interests you, this is a channel for you. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great one. I'll see you in the next one.